Bill Goldberg has returned to WWE after 12 years out, and in his first match back, he mauled Brock Lesnar in the same way a starving sea lion mauls a dead fish. Given it was promoted alongside WWE 2K17, the clash at Survivor Series 2016 was dubbed Fantasy Warfare Just Got Real. And while the quick squash of Lesnar was shocking, their subsequent encounter at WrestleMania this year should truly be fantasy come to life. Thinking of other potential main event classics we never thought we would see, sometimes it's surprising to learn that these matches have actually happened before. With that in mind, I'm Tony, this is Nature of Wrestling, and it's time for the 9 other fantasy matches that actually happened. First up, it's Eddie Guerrero versus Randy Orton. There are many wrestlers on today's circuit that Eddie Guerrero would have had incredible matches with. Indeed, it's not the last time you'll see Latino heat on this list. Guerrero had a ton of incredible matches over his career and was on the verge of his second world title run as Batista was going down with an injury. On the flip side, with Randy Orton finding his feet as the Legend Killer in 2005, it made sense that he continued to build his reputation on SmackDown. Orton would need to face the very best that SmackDown had to offer. And the best in this case came in the form of Eddie Guerrero, just a few weeks before his death the following month on SmackDown in October 2005. Their match was back and forth, with Orton controlling the middle section before the crowd became unglued for the Three Amigos suplex. Interference from Randy's father, Cowboy Bob Orton, meant that the match ended in a DQ win for Eddie, who was saved from a 2-on-1 beatdown by the Animal, Batista. Coming in at number 2 is Seth Rollins vs AJ Styles. Though both men are in WWE today, Rollins was struck down by an injury through the first half of 2016 when AJ debuted, and since they're now on opposite shows thanks to the brand split, there's little chance of a match between them anytime soon. But they have actually faced off previously, way back in 2006 at NWA's No Limits show in Seth's home state of Iowa. Then known as Tyler Black, these two put on a typically impressive technical match that had plenty of high spots. After countering each other numerous times, Styles managed to lift Rollins, initially looking like he was trying for a double underhook, a bit like the pedigree, into the Styles Clash for the win. At number 3, we've got AJ Styles versus Daniel Bryan. Back in the 2000s, these two in-ring magicians' paths never really crossed due to Bryan being in Ring of Honor while Styles was in TNA. But before either was fully a household name back in 2004, they faced off in a simply sensational match in front of 85 people. That's 85 total. Indeed, two future WWE champions had a match in front of literally dozens of people, and, as you might expect, they tore the house down. The IWA Mid-South show and IWA Homecoming saw Styles face Bryan in a great match. Though neither man was quite as polished as they would end up being, this match still holds weight today. It's rare to see a submission turn into a roll-up for a victory too. Coming at number 4 is CM Punk versus Cesaro. Two fantasy matches from the same show. I wonder if the 85-strong crowd at IWA Mid-South realised what they had in the ring that night. Two of my personal favourites in the modern era, a long-haired Punk took on a longish-haired Cesaro, then Claudio Castagnoli, in a match that early on focused on a series of headlocks before you got to the real big moments of the match, a superplex, a European uppercut, and a huge Pepsi plunge. These two would eventually meet again, very briefly off camera in NXT taping in August 2012, but the match was stopped after interference from Cassius Ohno, better known then as Chris Hero, before Seth Rollins made the save. Ring of Honor invasion? At number 5, we've got Andre the Giant versus Giant Haystacks. Definitely not the modern era now. Giant Haystacks is one of two names that any middle-aged British man will give you if you ask them to name a wrestler, the other being Big Daddy. In this case, Haystacks lived by his name, clocking in at 6 feet 11 and weighing around 680 pounds at his heaviest. Think of Big Show and a half. Haystacks even made some appearances for WCW in 1996, but the match all British fans wanted to see was their biggest against the world's biggest, Andre the Giant. Andre is of course an icon of the business, and his fantasy match concept would have made waves in the World of Sport era in the UK. But sadly, footage of the match from the Haystacks 1980 World Tour in New Zealand doesn't exist. So here's a photograph of a tiny referee trying to separate the two behemoths. In at number 6 is Ric Flair versus Kurt Angle. the two greatest in-ring performers to ever lace up a pair of boots? Whether you agree with that statement or not, Flair and Angle certainly belong in the conversation. Given that their careers in WWE crossed over by about 4 years, it's bizarre that the Olympic gold medalist and the Nature Boy took until 2005 to face off in the ring. Many fans may have forgotten it happened at all, of course, given that it was on an episode of Raw, sandwiched between Carlito's Cabana and the Diva Search. Nonetheless, it did, and it blends the vicious streak of the dirtiest player in the game early on with the sheer technical prowess of Angle. It meets every expectation you have of it, and you should search for it just as soon as we're done with our list here. Number 7 is the Legion of Doom versus the Hardy Boys. This is a case of fantasy being better than reality this time. The meeting point of these two great tag teams' careers was vastly different. The Legion of Doom has re-debuted as LOD 2000, and Hawk was being replaced in the team by Darren Drozdov. The latter two were bickering ringside while Animal was forced to take on both lean-looking Hardy Boys in a short match that saw Broken Matt and Brother Nero pick up a much-needed win early in their careers. At number 8, we've got Eddie Guerrero versus Triple H. The 2004 draft had one of the most deflating concepts as a SmackDown fan, which I was, where we thought for one glorious night that Triple H was out of Evolution being drafted and moving to SmackDown before he was traded back to Raw in exchange for Booker T and the Dudley Boys. But at least Paul Heyman did come up with the idea of Guerrero defending his WWE Championship against Triple H, representing SmackDown taking over the Raw main event. Their only other encounter was a forgettable 3.5-minute match on Raw in August 2000, and that ended in disqualification. This time, they had a 15-minute match that was subsequently thoroughly entertaining and the crowd was really hot for. This also ended in disqualification, but the brawl that followed it is one of the best in WWE history. And the 9 is Brock Lesnar versus Hulk Hogan. With Brock Lesnar in the first few months of his WWE career, he was on an absolute tear and destroying everyone in his path. Winning King of the Ring to become number 1 contender for The Rock's undisputed WWE title at SummerSlam, itself a fantasy match, Lesnar was forced into a position where he had to defeat a SmackDown superstar to keep that right to the championship match. The superstar in question just so happened to be the immortal one, Hulk Hogan. The match wasn't especially great, but watching it now and knowing what Lesnar will go on to achieve in the world of sports in years to come is fascinating. An F5 and a bear hug finished the job as two all-time greats clash in a fantasy dream match you probably forgot happened. And that was the 9 other fantasy matches that actually happened. Which other matches have taken place that we've missed? Give us a shout in the comments, and remember to like the video, share it with the world if you liked it, and subscribe to our channel so you never miss a thing. Head to natureofwrestling.com for more great content, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter @WrestlingNature. I'm Tony from Nature of Wrestling, and I'll be back with you very soon.